Hello. So today I thought I would discuss about um, uh, the First Amendment of the United States Constitution. And I kind of hesitated on how I wanted to put that in a sentence. Anyway, so there's five parts of this First Amendment, and I do amendment. You can do amendment. You This is an addition to. This is where it's attached. So that's why that's amendment. It's attached to. You could do added to, but I think amendment as attached would be a little bit better. And this July is the big 250th anniversary of the United States, and so this Constitution that we really hold dear um, is very important, and that First Amendment um, is very important because when they wrote the Constitution, it was not complete. They knew that there were some weak points, but they wanted everyone to sign it so we could become an independent nation. So the First Amendment is very important to all of us, and there's five components. So the first one is religion, and so it's just an R here to your heart, and it comes out religion. And it says that the U.S. government as a whole for all 50 states or even one state, the government cannot establish one religion for everyone to follow. Everyone has a right to their own uh, their own religion, or their right to follow that religion or to worship the way that they choose. So you can say it however they want, but so that means that we, as United States citizens, really need to be tolerant for individual right to any religion that they choose. But the government or the state or the city or the county, no one can establish one religion that everyone must follow. So that's the important part about the United States, and that is one that is kind of coming into question about, like, oh well, we should establish this for this city or this county or this state, and we can't. I mean, it's in our Constitution, and we don't want to break that. So that's very important. That's the first one. So the second one that's also important is speech. And so this is the sign for speech and not talk. Like if you're just talking, I'm going to be talking with you, but I'm giving a speech, I'm giving a talk. It's going to be like in front of people. There's going to be an audience. So we can express our own opinions, ideas, and beliefs without the government censoring it. So, or retaliation. However, I had a situation at my work, and so their opinions, they can say it, but it could, and their beliefs, they can say it, but really not in the workplace, because then it becomes discrimination to other people. So you have to really be careful with that freedom of speech. If there was a decision to have a big platform and they wanted to speak about the rights of other people or the wrongs the other people were having, or discrimination as a whole. But if you just say it to one person at your workplace, then it becomes a discrimination act against that person. So you have to be careful with that freedom of speech, saying, oh, well, I can say whatever I want. Well, we really need to be careful with that. We can't just, force our beliefs in the workplace. We're just there to do a job, to do our work. And so we probably should respect everyone there and their beliefs, right? So that goes back to the first one on religion or whatever, their belief system. The second one, we do have a right for, and so notice that this is speech and it's not just talk, right? It's not just talk, it's speech. So speech is normally in front of an audience, maybe a rally or a conference or something like that, where you would have speakers about a specific subject. Okay, and the next one is the freedom of the press. Now, some people kind of really get into arguments about this as well, but it allows people who write stories, it allows people, on the news um, to investigate government actions. I was going to go into actions, but I'll do it at another one. And they can criticize, um, officials without retaliation. Retaliation. So that's what that freedom of the press. That doesn't mean that you can lie, which is slander, right? Slander is lie. So that means you can't lie or just make it up, which is the same thing as lying, right? You just make it up. So you have to be careful as well with the freedom of the press. That doesn't mean that, oh, I can say all negative, whether it's true or not, about someone else. It's the freedom to investigate kind of government officials, what they're doing, to inform people of what the truth is. So that's what that really means. So that's the third one. So religion, speech, press, and now here's the right to assembly, or to assembly together, an audience assembly. But here's assembly where we're all gathering together. Okay, so that means that if they want to peacefully protest, and we've talked about protest or protest before. So if you have a right to gather and peacefully protest, and normally, like for example, on college campuses, there is a specific place on the campus that is set aside for people to speech, and they all gather, and so the students kind of listen to what is said, and that's an area. And that way, if you want to go, you can go and listen to what is being said. And if you don't, if you're just going to class or you're just kind of hanging out with your friends, then you don't have to, go there. You're not forced to have it right in your face. And I think that's kind of the problem recently is some of the protests, they're kind of in your face, and they have become violent. And that is not the freedom to assembly, right? To assembly is peacefully, and it says in there, it says it protects the right of people to gather peacefully, right, in public for protests, marches, or city organizations. So, and most of the time you need to get a permit. You get that, so they know, oh, that area you're going to be having a protest there, and if people want to go and listen to your speeches, they can. So that's what that really means. It's really, you want it to be peaceful. And so you're just, because you want people to hear what you're saying. And if you're just yelling and fighting, then nobody wants to get involved, or they're not really hearing what you're saying. So that's been a problem where there's been destruction. So that First Amendment says peacefully gather. Okay, so that's the fourth one. So now the fifth one. And notice how I did this. I did 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I do 5. But I do 1, 2, 3, 4, and I just keep going like at the first, second, third, and fourth. And then when I add the fifth, then I start here and go down because this is the last one. And that's just how it's done instead of going back up to the top, right? Because this becomes the first one, right? So this is the religion, and this is the speech, and this is the press, and this is the assembly. And the last one is petition. And so what does that mean? So this will be good to give you a sign, right? So it gives citizens the right to request, which is a petition. That's the sign for petition. I'm asking, I'm petitioning you, I'm asking you um, uh, to request changes in the government, whether it's like, a lawsuit. You could say lawsuit, but suing you, a lawsuit, or lobbying, which means they go into the, like Washington, D.C., they go to the Capitol and they petition there, they lobby, they have people who speak, that kind of thing. That's lobbying is. Or contacting the elected official, like contacting where you say, you see that, contact your local senator or legislative people, representatives, those type of thing. So these are elected officials. So that's what a petition is. So a petition is you're asking, but it's a formal asking. And so normally you have it written up, it's paper, but it's you're formally asking, you're petitioning. So you are formally petitioning for changes in government and whatever you feel that needs to be changed. And so you have that right. So that is the First Amendment. Amendment, amendment, amendment. I do amendment. This is added to amendment. So, and we first, second, third, fourth, and then fifth. I know it seems kind of weird, but it really makes sense because when you look at it, because you're not going to go back up, right? But because it's first and second, that's just how it is. First, second, third, fourth, fifth. But this doesn't supersede. I mean, what I'm saying, you don't go back up. It's like, oh, this is the last one, so it's going to go back up. This now becomes the first. So I think it's, self-explanatory, but I thought I would explain it anyway. So I thought I would end with that on the First Amendment and kind of think about this for July the 4th, because that will be soon. It's in 1 month, and then we'll have this big celebration of our United States. So I will see you later. Bye.